important thing is these camps and these academies and reaching out to these kids, being able to tell them about God and Jesus Christ and what it really means to be a man.
Hey, that's me. Welcome in, everyone. It's another episode of the Thy&Smi podcast. This episode is being simulcasted on the Bears Country Production channel on YouTube, and I've got a special guest with me, CNG podcast. It's G Walker. He'll be popping in here any second. I know he will. He's sharing to Facebook and Twitter, of course, as I would expect him to. So, welcome in, everyone. Wherever you guys are watching, greatly do appreciate it. We've got an exciting show today. We are talking about the Chicago Bears and their star-studded coaching staff. Obviously, we know the news. Ben Johnson is our new head coach, but we're getting bits and pieces as far as who is going to be assembling around Ben Johnson as far as the offensive and defensive coordinators. Obviously, little homage to the great Antwaan Randle, who is going to be our new assistant head coach, as well as wide receiver coach. We'll get into the nitty-gritty there. Nothing confirmed yet, to my understanding, regarding Dennis Allen. But Dennis Allen is definitely a guy that is having strong links to the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson. Mr. Brad Biggs, I believe it's Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune, released an article a few hours ago at this point saying that while nothing has been confirmed, CBS reported the Bears are interviewing... No, I'm sorry. I can't find the actual article on this. I think this is just a straight-up different article. But while no announcement has been made official, multiple sources believe former Saints and Raiders head coach Dennis Allen will be hired as defensive coordinator. So that's the only blurb we got from Mr. Brad Biggs. We'll get into it, though. I'm just waiting for G Walker to hop back in. So, guys, welcome in. Obviously, if you guys are in chat, this Bearski film guy, I believe this Bearski film guy is an AI chatbot. I don't know. I can't get to the bottom of it. Chad Spieger, how's it going, though, sir? Plank, the CNG podcast, of course. Mr. Mayhem. Prometheus, how's it going, sir? And again, if you guys are not a member of the Bears Country podcast, you can definitely consider that over on the BCP side. Thank you so much for our current members, including Plank, Googly Bear, and Chad Spieger. We really appreciate all of your interactions, and if you feel so obliged to be a member of the channel, well, hats off to you. Without any further ado, the great G Walker of the CNG podcast. How's it going, sir?
Man, I'm blessed to be here, bro. What's going on, Karl? How you feeling, man? It's a lot of excitement right now in Bears Nation, bro. It's a lot of things to be excited about, man.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I don't know if you got a chance to see that video. I don't want to play it again because I'm afraid of copyright due to the song.
I saw it.
It's badass.
I'm fired up, man. Antwaan Randle, bro, is a competitor. He's an ex-player. He's been around for a while, bro. To get him to come from Detroit Lions, bro, those Detroit Lion tears are great right now. They're great right now. So we got us one, man. We got us a dog in the building long ago with Ben Johnson, bro.
So
I love it.
Let me explain a little bit of my excitement regarding Antwaan Randle. So we originally wanted the offensive line coordinator of the Lions to come and be the assistant head coach / offensive line coordinator for the Chicago Bears. But instead, what we did was snag Antwaan Randle. Ben Johnson said that he needed someone who he can trust. Now, I think that was in direct comments regarding the offensive coordinator, but I know that he can trust Antwaan Randle because Antwaan Randle, when you watch video footage of him, I try and make some shorts throughout the week, and I'll go on to things like the Detroit Lions YouTube account and watch mic'd up footage, because if you don't know, mic'd up footage is where you get all the beautiful B-roll footage. And there's a clip of when they ran the Stumble Rooski, that intentional fumble against the Bears. They had Antwaan Randle yelling, "Fumble, fumble," when the play was happening to add to it. And once the play was executed, they both celebrated. They went nuts. And then you saw when he got the long pass to Jamison Williams, Antwaan Randle getting real fired up. He's an authentic person, man. He's just a really good coach, in my opinion. And the beautiful part about this is that even though he's a wide receivers coach, he's a great wide receiver who's going to be able to school up Roma Dunze, right? You also have him being a former quarterback in college. So just add that to the pot of what can make Caleb Williams great. It's so fucking exciting, man.
Man, it's so exciting to get somebody that's as layered and diverse as a coach, man. So guys don't have the reason to have an excuse. He played quarterback. He played wide receiver. He's intense. He came from a winning organization with the Detroit Lions. So there's no way for these players to escape the accountability, because he's going to be like, if I can do it, you can do it. You're the number 9th overall pick. You can do the same thing. You're bigger than me. You're probably faster than me. There's no excuses anymore for these guys to not be the best version of themselves when you have a guy like Antwaan Randle that's coming in inspired up and decorated and polished as he is, whether that's an ex-NFL player or a coach, man. It's there's no way these guys get to be just, oh, I'm not getting coached right. Bullshit. Excuse me for cursing, but BS. BS, bro. Tie your shoes up.
You don't have to worry about cussing, man. Whatever you do on your channel, you feel free to do that over here.
All right.
But yeah, man. Flip side of the coin, we got the exact same quality, in my opinion, coach for our defensive back coach, that being Al Harris. Al Harris, in my opinion, after being a great player for the Green Bay Packers, Bears fans know all about that. Al Harris, in my opinion, was directly responsible for the great success that we saw from the Cowboys defensive backs, including I can't think of the Diggs last name. It's not Stephon Diggs.
It's
I can't think of his name.
Yeah, but it's the brother. It's the brother.
Yes. So him, and then wow, I'm totally blanking on these names. I don't know if he was a rookie, but he was the young player who Deron Bland, who currently holds the NFL rookie, or not just NFL record outright for returned interceptions for touchdowns. Trayvon Diggs. Thank you, Mr. Chad Speaker. Yes.
Thank you, Chad.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, these are just positional coaches. Now, Antwaan Randle, of course, is the assistant too. Essentially, for any Lions fans that might be better about this move, right? I saw a clip of when Antwaan Randle was freaking out over that JMO catch, and then they're quote tweeting it saying, "I guess this didn't mean shit to you, huh?" The Detroit fans are saying that. Well, no, he's getting a promotion. So, yes, he's following a coach that he was already familiar with, but he's getting a promotion. It's exactly what happened to Thomas Brown, right? Thomas Brown was the assistant head coach / whatever running back coordinator, I believe, for Sean McVay. I always get those names mixed up. So, that's the lineage that I'm seeing with Antwaan Randle. Ideally, Antwaan Randle will eventually become an offensive coordinator for his case, and if he's great at that, obviously he'd be looking at a head coaching position down the line. But Bears fans don't have to worry about that happening to our offensive coordinator by trait, which is Ben Johnson. He's our head coach. He should be here to stay. G. Walker, any other things that you're super excited about regarding these new coaches, whether it's Ben Johnson or anyone else?
I'm excited about JT Barrett, man. Everybody knows that JT Barrett was that dude in the early 2010s, man. He was a football player of the year a couple of times, Ohio State legend. He was a mobile QB. He can throw, he can run. So he's probably more like Caleb Williams back then than Caleb Williams is now, as far as like the lineage and what they can do offensively as quarterbacks. So to bring JT Barrett in as a guy that could help Caleb Williams in some areas and relate to him as far as being a dual threat quarterback, that type of hire is something I can't even say how valuable that is for a young QB, to bring somebody in like that who's pretty much some type of copy of you. Just, his career didn't go the way we wanted it to go, at least in the NFL, but in college, he was that dude. So to have JT Barrett on this team as a guy that can be in Caleb's ear and a guy that can relate to him, that's probably a good a hire as any on his staff, man. So what do you feel about JT Barrett as far as the relatability to Caleb Williams?
I know that JT Barrett was a good player in college in his own right. That's why I flashed the Michigan gear. I mean, he has that in him. And it's not a requirement to be a good coach, or it's not a requirement for a good coach to be a good player. You can be a great player and still be a great coach. So
great point.
I don't take any stock into that. I don't want to say I know too much about JT Barrett in the sense of what he's done as far as his coaching career. But if you're portraying it as him having the experience at a top level, at least in college, as a dual threat quarterback, he should know what it takes at the very least to get it done. And again,
that's what I'm saying.
To add into the mix for Caleb Williams to be successful, that's the type of stuff that I'm looking for. Just want to highlight something that I saw in the chat here from Mr. Tony Moy regarding Stevenson signing with Pete Houlihan's performance unit at the recommendation of Al Harris.
I saw that.
That quick of a turnaround.
Yeah, that was quick.
God.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, they're on Tyreek Stevenson's bumper, bro. They on his ass because he's too good of a player to be doing the things that he was doing, as far as having meltdowns and acting like a child in certain parts of the game where the game is in the winning window to win. He needs to be way more disciplined, man. So the fact that they recognize that, they could just throw him away. They could be like, "Hey, man, we're done with you." But the fact that Al Harris was like, "No, I'm gonna put him with my people. I'm gonna get him right. lets you know that this coaching staff is real, bro. Like they're getting ready to go to work with him. And I for one love that because he's your number 2 corner and he's a starter. So, he's talented. So you have to keep the talent on your team and get them together.
Yes. To drive home the point regarding Pete Houlihan's performance unit, it appears that unit is responsible for rising stars in the NFL, such as Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and Brock Bowers. So,
man, there you go.
If we're talking about players trying to become the best version of themselves, it feels like this is as good of a move as any for Tyreek Stevenson. But
yes,
you're absolutely right. I mean, I just had a discussion about this, I think, on Thursday, where if you have Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith go into competition in camp, and you give them an equal opportunity, split the reps down the middle 50-50, right? No one would be surprised, in my opinion, if Terrell Smith wins. He's flashed his good quality play on the field. I wouldn't be surprised, but it would just be such a bummer because you're not going to cut Tyreek Stevenson, but if you tell him that he's not the starter, he's really going to start to go into a slump. I mean, Eberflus already did, in my opinion, the correct thing by tempering his snaps after his really bad outburst against the Washington Redskins. But I think that is a situation where if you can have that be salvaged, Tyreek Stevenson definitely has more talent in the tank, so to speak, than a Terrell Smith. Especially now if we're talking defensive backs. If Jaquan Brisker can stay healthy, and I would have to assume Kevin Byard's not going anywhere, to pair with the all-pro Jalen Johnson, and then one of the sneaky best defenders in the NFL, Kyler Gordon. I think Kyler Gordon's definitely like top 3 nickel defender in the NFL, right? This unit could be as good, if not better, than I anticipated them being last year. Now, injuries, things happen at the back end as far as the position with, like I just said, Mr. Jaquan Brisker.
Brisker, yep.
If these guys can stay healthy and you're coached up well by Al Harris, they're going to be really deadly. And maybe, just maybe, we have to worry about these guys leaving for coordinator positions. But the guy who wouldn't want to leave the Chicago Bears as our defensive coordinator is going to be Mr. Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, who is a failed head coach with the Raiders and, of course, most previously with the Saints. I don't think he's going to be poached anytime soon. So to be able to surround Ben Johnson with head coaching talent, experience, that is a guy who I could get really, really excited about. Is there anything that you heard or any thoughts that you have on the potential hiring of Dennis Allen?
It's just that he comes from a lineage of a good coach of his father, Greg Allen. You know what I mean? So it's in his DNA to be a good defensive coordinator, man. So we all know what those Saints defenses were like. You know what I mean? I would like to have that on our team as well. And the fact that he's already had a couple of head coaching jobs, he's not going to get any more because how many times you're going to hire? There's got to be a head coach for it to fail. So he's going to be a defensive coordinator probably for the rest of the time he's in the NFL. So the fact that we have that type of security and that type of cushion to have him here and he won't get poached, that's amazing, man. Like I say, everything is lining up for the Chicago Bears in the past couple of years just as far as just luck. Like to keep Dennis Allen on your team and you don't have to worry about him going anywhere is a gift. Like it just lined up that way. So if he comes here, man, it's go time, bro. It's seriously go time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people were on board with retaining Matt Eberflus because going into last year, because his defense showed that it could be top 10, fringe, top 5 worthy. Now, if we are able to attack the draft and free agency right, maybe add an edge rusher or a really serious pressure guy on the interior, I think that Dennis Allen can really then take this defense to the next level because he's demonstrated that he's a very good defensive coordinator. He just has shortcomings as a head coach.
Yeah.
So, again, let's get a guy who's not going to go anywhere. Andrew in the comment section here, of course, on screen, he says, Dennis Allen runs a 4-3 defense with a significant blitz concept with mixes of zone and man coverage. One thing that I've always thought of when the Chicago Bears play a quality wide receiver, why is Jalen Johnson not following them? Now,
right,
I did see this most past year in Chicago, Jalen Johnson did actually mirror to the side of the field at least where Justin Jefferson was going. And Justin Jefferson didn't have the biggest game that day. But unfortunately, conversely, the other wide receiver for the Vikings, who I'm not able to think of, the speedster, so to speak, with his speeding ticket.
Is it Addison?
Jordan Addison, thank you. He had a huge game, right? So I've always been at the core of my football tendencies. I prefer man coverage to zone. I feel like a
Yeah.
good quarterback is able to beat the zone coverage, whereas man coverage, you could get burned, but it has a little bit more boom than bust, or boom to bust, I guess, is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. So
Yeah.
I'm very much in the camp of let's get some Dennis Allen in here and play some good defense. Guys in chat, you guys are absolutely fantastic. Where do we want to go from here, G Walker? I mean, from this article,
I mean,
Chicago...
we could talk about, you know, the people in the chat right now. You know, how did you feel about hearing Ben Johnson in his first press conference, man? You know, what did you think about, because he pretty much nailed every question that was asked upon him as far as Caleb Williams' development, you know, the structure, you know, how Caleb is going to be developed, the team, and everything like that. So when he said something like, you know, he told Caleb, you know, I like you, Caleb, but it's going to take more than you for us to win. You know, what type of structure and what type of culture is he building for him to say that in front of everybody at the press conference that it's going to take more than you? What was he saying right there?
That feels like the only thing and downright the correct thing to say, right? Because you can't just tell Caleb Williams, you know what? You're the first overall pick, man. You've got to be the guy to carry this franchise and win the first Super Bowl for the Bears since 1985. That shit's not going to fly. Football is the ultimate team game. So he did highlight how the Chicago Bears have weapons. The weapons including DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Col Kmet, DeAndre Swift, who we can talk about running backs in a little bit, but I'm hoping they add to there. John S. says, the dude on the left, the volume is too low. Dude on the right, volume too loud.
Is that better? Is that better, John? Let me know, man. I'm glad he said something, man, because sometimes we don't know that. We don't know if it's too loud. Glad you said something.
Yeah, John, my volume on, if you're saying me, Karl, on the left, if my volume's too low, you guys can let me know. Yeah, man, as far as saying that it just has to be Caleb Williams, that'd be silly, right? So I think that Ben Johnson and this wonderful staff that he's assembling would be able to get the most out of everyone, but we're always going to have the question mark regarding the offensive line, right? The good news for Bears fans and the team as a whole is that the Chicago Bears offensive line is really almost like a blank slate. You have 3 players. You have 4 players under contract going into next year, that being your 2 tackles, your starting tackles, Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, your rookie backup, Karan Amagaji, and then Ryan Bates is under contract as well. Many will speculate that he should be cut because he didn't play this year. You save some money if you cut him. But you can build the interior through the free agency and the draft. I know you've heard the rumors regarding Trey Smith. I don't believe it's ever going to happen. But I think that they can bring in a really good offensive line talent, fill that room up, and then coach them up really well, just to kind of drive this point home as well. In the article released today by Brad Biggs, he writes that the Bears are believed to be considering Dan Rouchar, a Northern Illinois graduate, as a candidate to be the offensive line coach. Rouchar is currently in that role at the college Tulane. He worked for the Saints for 10 years with the connection to Johnson being through Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Rouchar, 64, led some successful offensive lines when working for the Saints. He previously coached at NIU and Illinois. So we're seeing a lot of connections in the back rooms regarding the Saints, and he literally has ties to Chicago as well. So this is more likely going to end up being your offensive line coach. He's plan B. We wanted the guy from Detroit, but that's okay. I'd like to do some work on this Dan Rouchar guy, see what his tendencies are. But case in point that I wanted to drive home tonight is that if you're getting coaches from the Saints that have direct ties to Sean Payton, a.k.a. a guy who was traded for, a.k.a. the method that I wanted the Bears to originally go, I think the world of Sean Payton. So if we're getting that type of coaching tree brought to Chicago, I am all for that.
Yeah.
So moving forward with the Bears and Caleb Williams, is there anything specific that you have, things that you're kind of looking out for, things that you're excited for the future?
I'm just excited to, for the fact that Ben Johnson will be, as much as Caleb is good being out of structure and off platform, I want to see Caleb in structure. I want to see Caleb on time. I want to see Caleb with clean feet. I want to see Caleb throwing the ball out quickly. I don't want to see Caleb Williams holding the ball. As good a season as Caleb Williams had, 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, six interceptions, most attempts by a rookie for passes and everything like that, and he still performed above average. There are things that he could have been better at. You know what I mean? So I'm just really excited to see what type of QB he can be polished with Ben Johnson, what type of patient quarterback he can be. I want to see, can Caleb Williams see the game through his play caller's eyes? You know what I mean? I want to see this. Can he get on track with what Ben Johnson is showing him and what JT Barrett is showing him as far as getting in between up here and seeing what they can see all together? So I'm just really excited to see. We saw a raw talented Caleb Williams. Now I want to see a polished Caleb Williams. So I'm really excited to see if Ben Johnson is that type of head coach that could take a kid as raw as he is and make him look like a 5-year veteran in year 2. I'm excited for that.
Yes. Chad in the comment section here is saying an up-tempo offense would be good. Up-tempo is exactly what worked for Caleb Williams early on, right? The no-huddle, once they got a drive started, they were able to go to that and have some success early on in the season before Mr. Shane Waldron was fired. But I think that the key for Caleb Williams is always going to be, can he learn to play and play well in structure?
Yes.
So some things that I'd be looking out for are, let's take DJ Moore and let's eliminate this behind the line of scrimmage gadget stuff. And to be fair to the Chicago Bears, you have to try and give them their dues because they tried to get their best player the ball early and quickly because their offensive line sucked. That's the fact of the matter, right? So if DJ Moore can transition into the St. Brown role, Amon-Ra St. Brown, let's get some 12, 14-yard digs like what he did in the end of the game against the Vikings this year. That's the route that I'd want to try and target him on at least 3 times a game. Like, this guy is a good route runner and just a good football player. And I was always under the impression that DJ Moore was maybe playing hurt this year. So there's a little bit to be said there as well. But I think that the sky's the limit as far as that goes. And then this is a question and something that was brought up on the Thursday show on Bears Country podcast. The Lions have some really talented players that are also very, very fast. As far as adding speed to the Chicago Bears offense, do you think that like a Roma Dunze is a 1-to-1 comparison to Jameson Williams, or is there something else that you'd be looking for as far as the Chicago Bears adding speed to their offense?
I mean, it just, because Ben Johnson already said that there's going to be a totally different playbook here. It's not going to be the same thing that he was running in Detroit. So what I would want to see is more so DJ Moore in the slot, like you said, doing the Amon-Ra thing. You know what I mean? I think not Ben Johnson, but DJ Moore is fast enough. Like, we already have enough. Sometimes you can get too many players of a good thing, and it can get crazy. You know what I mean? It could get out of control, too many weapons. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes addition by subtraction is good. So the fact that we got Roma Dunze, 6'3", 215, we got DJ Moore, you can put him in a running back. He can go out. You can line him up in screens real well. You got Col Kmet, who's a tight end, and you see what he was when he was getting the ball thrown to him in the beginning of the season. He was a top 5, maybe top 8 tight end. So the fact that we already got pieces here, we don't need anything else. We just need better coaching. We need better scheming. You know what I mean? I want an offensive coordinator that's not going to say, "Oh, let me just get these passes off to DJ Moore because he's due for $78 million. Oh, let me scheme up Keenan Allen this week because he's a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer." No, I don't want you just giving guys a ball that don't fit the team that we're playing or we're trying to win. I don't care about stats. Fans don't care about that. We want to see an offense that's efficient, fluid, and attacking, and timely and accurate. That's it.
Yeah. So a lot of people would point out where Tyler Scott is someone who's essentially gone MIA, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that it would be and it would not be the correct move to just rely on Tyler Scott to be your wide receiver 3. I think that the Chicago Bears have to add a veteran presence at the wide receiver 3 position, just as like a safety blanket, right? Because Roma Dunze is still a really young player.
Yes, he
DJ
is.
Moore, I think he should still be treated as a wide receiver 1 when all is said and done. I know I've gone flip-flop on that, but DJ Moore is the most talented wide receiver in my opinion. I think that's fact. Roma Dunze, wide receiver 2. I don't think that there's anything down the field that Jameson Williams can do better than Roma Dunze. He's faster. He's a better gadget wide receiver, that being JMO. But Roma Dunze, I had this comment up on the screen from Leak, he's got those long strides. So let's get him down the field and then exercise the best piece of Roma Dunze's game, which is contested catches, right? Give him these go balls, give him these 50-50 balls down the field, and let's make the magic happen there, because Roma Dunze is very capable of that. We're talking about a guy with who had a big impact for the Chicago Bears when we acquired him via 4th-round pick via trade this year, But Keenan Allen, I don't think you have any reservations about him walking in free agency.
No, I just think that he was the best route runner, but at the same time, he let us down a bunch of times. He was hurt. He dropped passes. He was doing some things in his personality that I saw could be bad in the locker room. It seemed like he didn't care sometimes. I say get rid of him, man. Like if he comes here, he wants to take a pay cut, then maybe. But I don't think we need to keep him. If you're gonna have Rome Odunze, you got DJ Moore, you got Col Kmet. Somehow you can find a place for Tyler Scott. I don't think you really need him because he's going to be expensive, and we got other things that we need to do with that money as far as resources in the offensive line to take care of instead of waiting on a 35-year-old wide receiver that's banged up and drop passes. Just plain and simple.
And I don't want to poke fun at Keenan Allen and pretend that
Not at all.
That my thoughts on the trade for him were bad. I love the trade. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. And then they doubled down on Rome Odunze, and I love that. I love the idea of having 3 great wide receivers. And I think that when all is said and done, the way I view it is you paid a lot of money for Keenan Allen, but some of that money essentially deserves to go to Rome Odunze in the sense that was all for his growth.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have that cap hit this year and then have him walk, that's fine. I like the idea, like you said, of maybe Keenan Allen returns on a pay cut, but that pay cut would have to be significant. I want to say that I could open up Spotrac, but the cap hit for Keenan Allen was probably around $25 million. So we're talking about a hometown discount of what for him to return? Like $15 million?
Yeah, 15, 14.
That's still a lot of money for a wide receiver 3 who I would prefer to give those targets to Rome Odunze. Whereas you could get a guy like Josh Palmer, hopefully he hits free agency. I think it'd be a fantastic option at wide receiver 3, right? So you could have this package where if you have 2 wide receivers, so obviously DJ and then Rome Odunze, 3 wide receivers on the field, you could have Josh Palmer play outside and have DJ Moore in the slot. Or you could bring on Tyler Scott if you need to and have him be your deep threat and see if you can get some combo routes with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, right? I like that idea a lot more than just saying, hey, let's give Keenan Allen all this money. Or as to Chad Speaker's comment in this comment section here, he says, what about a T. Higgins as a replacement? T. Higgins is going to be a very wealthy man, Chad. I'll tell you that right now. I watched the introductory press conference for the New England Patriots. You have to subscribe to their channel to be able to input in the chat, but every single subscriber to the Patriots channel said, let's get T. Higgins. It was a wave. So if the fans are saying that, not to say that that's going to be the truth, right? But you can tell that T. Higgins is going to be a very hot commodity, and I think it'd be asinine for the Bears to overpay for something that necessarily they don't need.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about the running back position with you then, 2G Walker. I alluded to maybe DeAndre Swift not being the lead back anymore for Chicago. Do you have any initial thoughts regarding the running back room and what you'd like to see the Bears do to maybe improve the position?
I mean, I would just like to see, if Ben Johnson's going to be here, we've seen what he did with Gibbs and Montgomery, right? Sonic and Knuckles, right? So you want that, duplicated or replicated here in Chicago. You want that other guy beyond that's with DeAndre Swift. So, but how are we going to obtain it? That's yet to be seen because we have the 10th overall pick, and I don't want to waste that 10th overall pick, to be honest with you, on a running back. With the offensive line, that we need an offensive line for those guys to operate in. So I want to see what the running game will look like with 2 backs, just like in Detroit, but I'm not really going to spend it on that 10th pick on a running back, man. Not with the offensive line and the things that we need to get that fixed. Not at all.
Hey, Big Cheese in the comments here. Are you saying your mic is low to who? To Karl or to G Walker? I'll keep the screens off for the second. G Walker, you can hear me just fine, right?
Yeah, I can hear you, but everybody probably need to turn their mics up or their mics down because I've turned my mic down a couple of times, and now it's telling me it's too low. I don't know who he's talking to. I can hear you though, Karl. I can hear you.
Okay, we'll keep rocking and rolling here. I like this comment from Mr. Mayhem. He says the Bears need to draft a running back, but not in the first round. I think I agree. Full stop. I have watched a little bit of Ashton Genty this year. I watched every second of the UNLV game, right? And he had the most NFL game that I think you're going to see from Ashton Genty, in the sense that he was about 4 yards a carry, but he was a bell cow. He was every bit of what the Bears would need at a Knuckles, right? He's going to get you that 4 yards in a cloud of dust consistently, but then he has the ability to hit the home run, break 2-3 tackles just on one play, and go for 80 yards. So he's going to be a really good player in the NFL, but at 10th overall, I think the Bears could either get a better player or ideally what they'll be able to do afterwards is take I bet I sound a lot better or a lot louder right now. So gentlemen, I apologize for that. If I'm too loud, you guys let me know. But here's my master plan, okay?
I'm listening.
I think that DeAndre Swift needs to be treated as Sonic. He's nowhere near as good as Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, in my opinion, is the third best running back in the entire NFL. Now, if you have DeAndre Swift play a little bit better than he did this year, because he's going to be fresher coming off of being the second back, you need to acquire Knuckles. The player that I watched a little bit of highlight footage on, and I'm going to have to do some more deep diving on this, watch out for Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton is a running back out of the University of North Carolina, and I think that he would be the perfect bell cow back that the Bears need. The only fear, I guess, for some fans is that you are going to have to take him high. I think you're going to take him in the second round, and I think there would be nothing sweeter than to finalize the trade that sent the first overall pick to the Carolina Panthers, which became Bryce Young, and add to that list Caleb Williams, was it Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Moore. Let's add our starting running back to that trade. I think that would definitely be in the thoughts of the Bears brass, including Ryan Poles, and I think that he would be a great back. When you watch Omarion Hampton, I get a little bit of a more polished and stronger Khalil Herbert. A lot of his highlights were one cut, go. And this in the ACC, which has some decent competition, but I was seeing it against some teams like Coastal Carolina or something of that nature. I'm not even going to pretend I know the rest of the teams I saw the highlight footage because I watched this at 2 a.m. But this guy's got the juice, in my opinion. I think that he would be a good option if the Bears want to go that route. Christopher Taylor, I didn't get to make this point earlier with you in your live, your Twitter Spaces, G. Walker. Let me know, what do you think about Roschon Johnson, G. Walker?
I think it just depends, man. Like, we don't know what these players are like with a good offensive line, man. Like, everything starts up front. Like, I don't want to throw out the baby in the, what they say, the baby in the with the bathwater, man. When we don't have the O-line to get these guys to their max ability. You know what I mean? Like, Roschon might be a great number 2 back because he was a number 2 back at Texas. You know what I mean? So have we seen him be that? Because we've seen him be the short distance running back to get those touchdowns in the red zone. We've seen him do that. We've seen him break tackles. So the fact that we just get rid of him without seeing what he can do behind Ben Johnson once he built the offensive line, I'm not sure I want to get rid of Roschon because he might actually already be what we need. Might be already be here.
So here's the thing, right? Roschon Johnson was a 4th-round pick and is still on his rookie contract. Why would you just cut that? So the thing that I think that you have to try and do, and this is these are comments coming directly from Richard Hightower, who, to kind of add to the coaching concept that we're talking about in the show here, Richard Hightower is probably going to be your special teams coordinator. So he's going to be here moving forward, in my opinion, and I loved when he referred to Roschon Johnson as potentially a linebacker in the sense that he's able to tackle well, and that value comes from special teams, right? You don't want your starting or second running back playing special teams and being your special teams ace. What I think Roschon Johnson needs to accept, and I'm hoping this great coaching staff can kind of ease him into this, I would like to see Roschon Johnson pivot to fullback. Because we lost a football game because we deployed a backup center at fullback. Why not get a guy who's literally capable of running the football? And if you're so obliged to have Roschon Johnson be your power back, he can still do that from the fullback position or just pivot, right?
Yeah.
Take out your fullback, just have Roschon back there. And you can then have packages where Roschon Johnson is to one side of Caleb Williams and your star running back is on the other side. Roschon Johnson also... Go ahead.
And I just think that, you don't have to be great at everything. Just be great at something for me to keep you. And I think that's what happened with Ryan Poles, and how Ryan Poles probably kept his job. Like, he might not be good at everything, but real bosses understand, like, I can't let him go because he's good at contracting, he's good at trades. He might not be a good evaluator for talent on offensive side, but he's great at this. So if we can find a role for Roschon where he's good at, and maybe convert him to fullback, like you said, and keep him in certain situations and games, just find out what he's really good at and keep him, because it'd be a waste to cut him when he's on a rookie deal, just like you said.
I think he's good at special teams, so that's the primary thing, right? And we found out with these new kickoff rules that you don't necessarily want a big, strong defensive lineman or a small, fast defensive back. I think Roschon Johnson's a great player, and I'd love to see how many special teams tackles he had this year.
Keep him there.
But
That's all I'm saying. Keep all the good players in the building, man. Keep all the good players you can, no matter what they can do. Flip it.
No reason to cut him, but I also don't think there's any reason to give Roschon Johnson the starting or backup running back role anymore because he's proven that he's just not good enough at that at this point. I was just going to say, my girlfriend is a Minnesota Vikings fan, and I've come to watch a lot of football from them, and I see a player named C.J. Ham who wears the C on his chest, necessarily doesn't have the flashy stats, but he's more of like a utility fullback and a dirty utility fullback. Not like a Kyle Juszczyk, not like a Patrick Ricard, but I think that Roschon Johnson and C.J. Ham could be apples to apples. Same exact type of player, really good role carved out. So what that he's not a starting running back for you? You spent a 4th-round pick on him. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't pan out in that sense, but he's still he could still be a really good player for you.
Yeah, he can still be impactful, certainly, like you said, special teams. If somebody gets hurt in the red zone, like it's just what the coach want to do with him, man. If he's not here, fine. If he's here, I'm pretty sure Ben Johnson to figure out something for him, whatever.
Now, Brian Gilmore brings up a good point. I believe with both Pittsburgh backs being free agents, that includes Najee Harris and is it Warren? Is it Warren, Brian Gilmore? Do any of those guys intrigue you at all, G. Walker?
I mean, it just all depends on what Ben Johnson wants. Like, what is Najee Harris? What is his skill set? Is he a power back or is he a finesse back? Like,
he's definitely a power back.
Go get him. Go get him. Like, what are we doing? Like, if that guy's out there, you can go get him. Go get him. Go get him.
The scrolls, you're fantastic in chat, man. I appreciate the heck out of you. I mean, that's really funny. What does this guy say? The next to get the Steelers running back in free agency and then get a great back in the draft. Now, what does that mean for DeAndre Swift? I don't think that you can double dip, so to speak, at the running back position. Would I be excited about a running back room where Najee Harris and DeAndre Swift are splitting time? I don't think so. I understand that Najee Harris was a highly drafted running back out of the University of Alabama, but I've watched some Steelers games, man, and the Steelers need to run the football to win the game. Maybe Caleb Williams is able to alleviate that if they have a good passing offense, lighter box to allow him to have better running game. But I don't know, man. I don't think that giving money to a back who has a little bit of tread on him is worth, compared to drafting a star running back out of college. I think that Omarion Hampton could be just a straight-up better player than Najee Harris when it's all said and done.
Because you got to go the route of what's cheaper, who can be productive, just cheap. You know what I mean? Who can be the running back that's in free agent that costs money, but who's that running back in the draft that's free? Like, if you can find that guy, he can come in and you can play him under your rookie contract. Common sense tells you, let me go get him instead of spending money on a running back that got a little bit of tread on him. So I agree with you. Yeah.
And to Chad Spieger's comment, Najee Harris only made $3 million last year because he was on his rookie deal, to my understanding. They probably exercised a 5th-year option, and if that's the case, you're exercising a 5th-year option on a running back with a market that's already this low. That's drafting a running back high almost sounds good at this point, a good one. But yeah, Omarion Hampton, you've got the great Ohio State backs, Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. You've got the running back out of Iowa. I can't think of his name. I think it's Caleb Johnson. So you've got some good options.
Caleb with a K?
Yeah, that's correct, yes. So if you like Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, maybe Caleb Johnson is your running back. I say that jokingly. DJ Giddens has Matt Forte vibes. Holy smokes, there's literally a chatter in the comments that says, go blue. You belong in here, my friend. You belong in here. Especially if you like the Bears. And I saw Mr. Holy smokes, my brain is just going out today. Mr. Minister Charles Johnson. How's it going to you, sir? Everyone in chat. I see a Christopher Taylor, a Dennis Moody, a Kevin Coppernoll. A lot of guys who I'm not familiar with. Thank you guys so much for pulling up. Brand Flakes.
Pull up.
Denzel Crespo. Brian Gilmore. How's it going to you, sir? Everyone who I've already said hello. We really appreciate you guys. Like I said when I started the stream, we've got a simulcast going on. So on YouTube, This is being simulcasted on the Bears Country podcast as well as the Thy&Smi podcast. And then, of course, with my guest G. Walker, we've got this simulcasting to the Facebook and Twitter accounts of the CNG podcasts. If you guys are not following or subscribed to any of those accounts, please feel free to consider subscribing to any of those. And I've got a banner in here somewhere, I thought, for your YouTube handle, but I think I got rid of it. I'm going to have to get that remade up.
It's cool.
And if you guys are watching past the live in the comments, listening right now, go look at the description. I'll have all the links that you guys would ever need right in there. I would love Mason Graham, Brian Gilmore. It's just not going to happen, right? Have you done any mock drafts specifically for the first round, G. Walker?
You know what? I haven't, man. I usually get with my draft guy, man. He's doing his thing right now, so I haven't had a chance to study it, man. Been super busy. But you know, I want offensive lineman at that pick, bro. It's not something I don't want to see. Nothing sexy, man. Like I want an offensive lineman. Like I don't care. Like pass rusher. What is the pass rusher looking like? Is it the deep draft class for pass rusher in the second round? You know what I mean? What's going on with that?
So the trenches. This is a good draft for trenches, but the value is coming on day 2. So you're around 2 and 3 picks, right? The best case scenario for the Bears would be if either Mason Graham or Abdul Carter fell to them at 10. And genuinely, I wouldn't be sad if the Bears lost assets in a trade up to acquire those players because they're that good. But conversely, I've seen mock drafts where Mason Graham, the great defensive tackle out of Michigan, goes first overall. I've seen mock drafts where Abdul Carter, the great pass rusher from Penn State, goes second overall. Goes second overall. So these guys, we're not going to have a chance at them. Now we're talking about quarterbacks being reached upon to get them. Maybe a Carolina Panthers want to go a McMillan or a Luther Burden at the wide receiver position. The fact of the matter here is that I'm thinking that the Bears will have the ability, they'll have the chance to draft either Calvin Banks, the tackle out of Texas, or Will Campbell, the tackle/guard out of LSU at 10th overall. But I don't know if you want to draft a tackle when you've got Braxton Jones on his great rookie contract. I've always thought that you can consider Braxton Jones in his last year of his rookie contract as a prove-it year, right? Prove it to, can you do well, as good or better than you have previously in this new offense, / can you return to form after this injury, right? If that doesn't pan out, you did draft Karan Amagaji. Maybe Karan Amagaji, after he's fully healed and has a time to develop with this new offense, maybe he's an okay player when all things are said and done. But I think that you would address your left tackle position in 2026 because this is going to be the 2025 draft, right? Yeah. I do understand we need depth, though. Absolutely, I hear you. The problem, or I guess exponentiating that, Christopher Taylor, the inside of the Bears offensive line, the interior, there are 6 positions as far as your 3 starters and your 3 backups. Those positions are not filled whatsoever, aside from Ryan Bates. And like I alluded to earlier, a lot of people are telling you that maybe you're going to cut a Ryan Bates. So now you're talking about filling 6 positions on the interior. How are you also going to draft a tackle at 10th? I don't think that makes sense because you're not addressing what the team needs. So that's why I'd be kind of scared of going that route. Now, if you do your homework on Will Campbell, if Will Campbell is there, and Will Campbell plays your guard position, and you feel comfortable with that, and then maybe he moves to left tackle because Braxton Jones doesn't pan out. I see it, but I just get really nervous at it. What about a trade down situation, just from a philosophy standpoint, G. Walker? Would you like the Bears to maybe trade down?
I mean, it depends, man. Like it really depends if we can get what we want. Like I'm all about if we can get what we want and it makes sense, go ahead and do it. If it makes sense taking Will Campbell at 10, do it. If it makes sense trading down and getting a couple more spots and getting a guard and a right guard and a center, do it. So that's really what was all about. I just want to see the best players get drafted, the best scenario where the best players can get drafted, trading down or keeping a pick. So I'm just all about whatever makes sense. So Caleb Williams can be upright most of the game, and he can be that star QB that he is, and he's going to be. Do it. Just do it. That's all I care about.
Yeah. I know that AI chatbot I mentioned earlier, Bearski Film, he would say that best pick available is BS, but I disagree, man. It has to be best pick available, and the reason I feel that way is because if you are a general manager and someone contributing to a draft board, and you don't have conviction about the players in that order, what are you doing? You have to be able to say, okay, we need a guard. But maybe, just maybe, a Will Johnson falls to you, the cornerback out of Michigan. This would be stupid. You guys wouldn't like it. But he's a top 5 talent, too. If you've got a top 5 pick sitting for you at 10th, maybe you just got to go get him. Yeah. It sucks to say that. To address Go Blues comment again, what do you think about Donovan Edwards going to the Bears? Donovan Edwards had like second, third round pick rode all over him when Michigan won the national championship. And then this year happened. And he was second fiddle to Khalil Mullings. And when Donovan Edwards was asked upon, he didn't answer the questions, in my opinion. So if Donovan Edwards is a player that you pick up in the 7th round to see if he makes a team on like a flyer, I'm all for that. But I don't want to count on Donovan Edwards because there just feels like something it's just not going to work out. We're talking about Donovan Edwards having the ability to excel in like this spell back, because Donovan Edwards was very good when you had Blake Corum, and Blake Corum was a running back drafted by the Rams, who was like your bell cow in college. And the Bears don't have a bell cow, so they need to acquire one as far as a running back. There was one more comment. Oh, I wanted to make this comment. There's a guy out of Texas, running back. His name is Jaden Blue. I want you guys to watch out for Jaden Blue. I made the comparison for Jaden Blue to being Alvin Kamara. And I don't know if you know who Alvin Kamara is, but I would love Alvin Kamara on the Bears. So if Jaden Blue finds his way in the 5th, 6th, let's see if we can make that happen, because I'd be very, very excited about that. G. Walker, what about our defense? We're talking about all these coaches and getting the most talent out of them. What makes you nervous for the Chicago Bear defense moving forward, and maybe where's one area where you'd want to see them improve?
I'm nervous about Montez Sweat, man. I'm nervous about if it's an injury. Why he didn't play well this year. I think for the past 3 years or how it's going, he's steady declining in sacks. So I'm concerned about us not having somebody on the opposite side of him to take pressure off of him, so we can have the other pass rush on the other side. So I'm concerned that we won't get a pass rusher, man, in this draft. I'm just concerned. I'm just really concerned about that because I don't see anybody helping Montez Sweat on the other side. We get no pressure up front from no one. Billings went down, so you got to get another Hog to help him out. And then you got to get another pass rush on the other side of Montez Sweat. So Dominique Robinson, what really is Dominique Robinson? So it's a lot of question marks on that front four on the defensive side that I'm a little bit worried about, man. So I'm worried, man. I don't know.
That's why I said, as far as the draft, right, these icons, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, if the Bears traded up for them, I would not be sad about it because of what you just said. We do need to add something outside of Montez Sweat, because when Montez Sweat, who, by the way, throughout the year dealt with injuries up and down his entire body, right, that's going to have a player really slow down. He still tried. He's very highly paid, and he didn't take the Tevin Jenkins route and just decided to sit out. He actually, fought it out and played, and it's very admirable of him. But when he's getting double-teamed each and every play, I'm sorry, but Montez Sweat is nowhere near the capability of 2018 Khalil Mack. It's apples to oranges there. He's not as dominant of a player.
Let's slow down with the Khalil Mack 2018. Let's slow down right there, man.
What do you mean? What do you mean? As far as saying he's as good?
He's not. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, but that was an incredible year right there, bro. You went there.
Yes, and I'm glad that Leak brought this up. That's where I was going. If you want to address it in free agency, I would like Khalil Mack on the return. I would also like Josh Sweat, who is the current defensive end for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll be able to get to watch him play in the NFC Championship game tomorrow. He's a player who I'd be very okay with giving a lot of money, just for the fact that now your edge rushers are Sweat and Sweat. You'd have a very sweaty defensive line. That would be really, really fun, right? But yeah, I mean, there's so many things. I like this point, and this was made originally by, not original, I'm sure, but the point is that I heard it from him first. Dave Ski on Bear Ski Film. I do the show on Tuesdays with him. On Bear Ski Film, we do the NFL League Report. He made the point that if these players are losing football games, they're not going to be trying as hard. And whether it's subliminal or not, if you are maybe in a playoff push, Montez Sweat is going to come alive.
Yeah.
So all it takes is just to win some football games. If your offense plays better, your defense might start to play better, just off of a subliminal thing at the very least. To drive home the defensive line woes, Go Blue makes a great comment here. Pierce from the University of Tennessee, before Abdul, Oh, I see. Before taking Abdul after trading down. I understand what you're trying to say. There are some cats that if you take them at 10, they probably are going to be very, very good for you. So we're talking about maybe the defensive end from Mississippi State. I can't remember where the college is, but his name is Princely Unmamielen, I believe. Go Blue here saying Pierce is James Pierce, again, out of Tennessee. These guys at 10th overall would not be a reach by any stretch of the imagination, and they wouldn't, in my opinion, be the immediate impact, play 100% of the snaps, right? You are going to have to rotate them in with either a veteran free agency addition or a guy like DeMarcus Walker, have him spell. But now we're talking about needing to add to the interior defensive line as well. So there's definitely some things. Dennis Moody, I'm glad you brought that up. Michael Williams from Georgia. I think he had the flash in the pan where he had like 3 sacks in the first half when he played against Alabama. A lot of people are down on him though. I don't know if it was just the rest of the season he didn't play well or something else, but I would be very okay with that and maybe a trade down situation. Linebackers, we already talked about the defensive back, right? What about our linebackers? Yeah. I know someone said something about trading Tremaine Edmonds. Do you feel any certain way type regarding that?
Yeah, I just think Tremaine Edmonds, man, he's not the linebacker that we need him to be at this point. You know, he doesn't tackle well, he doesn't chase well, he doesn't cover well. For him to be as tall as he is, I don't see him batting down balls. I don't see him jumping. I don't see him tackling well. It was a waste of money at this point. TJ Edwards is fine. I think he's the best linebacker on the team. Jack Sanborn, you know, he had that one good year where everybody fell in love with him because the talent around him wasn't there. But once the talent around him got there, he kind of faded away. I could be wrong about that. But the linebacker core needs to be upgraded. I would trade Tremaine Edmonds, keep Jack Sanborn. But as far as the linebacker, I was very disappointed in Tremaine Edmonds this year, man. For him not to be hurt this year and how he played, it was a lot of missed tackles, man. It was a lot of chasing guys that he should have caught at that height and that build. It was bad.
What? No super chats?
Go Blue, you are fantastic, sir. I don't know if you changed your account name or if you're a first-time viewer. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. We really, really appreciate that. Cannot overstate how much we appreciate that.
Congrats, man.
And on top of that, I'm just more interested in you guys in the chat. And G Walker, you too. You guys spending your time with me. Cannot overstate how much I appreciate that. So thank you very, very much, guys.
No problem.
To your point of trading Tremaine Edmonds, what are you going to get back, man? You're going to get maybe a day 3 pick, a 4th, 5th rounder, because he has a high contract, and then you're going to have some dead cap on your salary cap situation, and then you're going to thrust in Jack Sanborn as a replacement, or have to go out and draft a replacement. I don't think it's worth it. I think that the best course of action for the Chicago Bears would be to attack the defensive line in free agency and the draft, improve there, and hope that you can continue to see progression from Gervon Dexter. And then at that point, these defensive line players are going to play their job, their position better, and it's going to make these linebackers look better. I know over here on the Bears Country podcast, we've done some all-22. Not myself, but the lovely J2K, PJ, Shorty. These guys will talk about how our linebackers weren't hitting the hole fast enough. I would like to see if that means the defensive line was doing their job correctly or not.
That's a good point.
But the fact of the matter is, maybe a Dennis Allen is going to be able to get the most out of these guys. I thought that Eberflus, we can talk about this real quick too. I thought that Matt Eberflus would always be a top half of the league defensive coordinator. I never thought that there would be 16 defensive coordinators that are better than Matt Eberflus. Money's going to be put to the mouth now because Eberflus is your new but your defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys play the Chicago Bears in Chicago, by the way, this year. What is your immediate reaction to Matt Eberflus joining the Dallas Cowboys, G. Walker?
I thought it was a good hire, man. I thought he was a good defensive coordinator here. It's just that losing wanes on players, man. I think everybody bought in to Matt Eberflus because that defense was lights out. It was years, when we had Justin Fields back there, and that defense was not giving up no more than 9 points, 12 points, 13 points, and we could not score. And the last part of his defense, when he was here, the guys just got tired. Then we started giving up 28 points, 30 points. You know what I mean? But when I heard he got the defensive coordinator position, I said they got a guy. Like, as long as he get the guys to play well and play hard for him, he's fine because they did it here in Chicago, man. We just couldn't score points. So I wasn't mad at that, man. Like, he could call. He's a great defensive play caller. It's just the guys he just ran out of time. Those guys got tired of losing, man. When you steady putting your body out there, you're not getting the result. You started creeping like, what am I playing hard for, man? We can't score touchdowns. I'm not fired up. We keep getting on the field. We're gassed. We coming in every 3 in and out. Like, what more can you ask for those guys, man? We're 3 and out every time.
Yeah. I mean, that was something that I'm very used to as a Bears fan. Our defense playing well for 50, 55 minutes, but then there's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back because our offense traditionally has just not been able to keep up and, help the defense.
Man.
But Eberflus to the Dallas Cowboys is such a unsurprising move in the sense that, first, Eberflus has a connection to the Cowboys. I believe he was some sort of positional coach there, but I believe that was under the great Rod Marinelli. Rod Marinelli, in combination with Lovie Smith, are kind of like the grandfather of the 4-3 Tampa 2 defense. And I believe Rod Marinelli has ties to the Dallas Cowboys. Not directly, but he used to, currently. But I believe Rod Marinelli used to be their defensive coordinator. So for them to go out and get Matt Eberflus, I'm really not surprised. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what that game looks like. I'm definitely going to be watching that game as well as every other game. But I wanted to address this comment here from Mr. Cliff Victoria. Any news on OC yet? The best piece of news that we have, Cliff, regarding that is that. Let me see if I can find the exact words. A league source told the Tribune on Saturday that the Bears are interviewing former Stanford coach David Shaw for their, not head coach, but offensive coordinator position. Shaw, at 52 years of age, was a senior personnel executive for the Denver Broncos this season. He was one of the 17 known candidates for the job that was eventually given to Ben Johnson, of course. And David Shaw has had in the past the head coach title at Stanford from 2011 to 2022, and last worked in the NFL for a 4-year stint with the Baltimore Ravens from 02 to 05 as quarterbacks and wide receivers coach. So all that to say, and I know someone mentioned this earlier as well, Tony Moy had said it, if David Shaw becomes an OC, it's a great hire because he was Andrew Luck's OC at Stanford, and as far as like some Michigan bias, because that's what we're all about here, Mr. Go Blue, David Shaw was promoted the head coach after being the offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh before Jim Harbaugh left for Michigan. All that to say, David Shaw is your leader in the clubhouse currently, and I think that it would be a fantastic hire. Because again, David Shaw as offensive coordinator would not be the offensive coordinator by trait, but only by name. Ben Johnson's going to be your guy who's going to be calling plays on offense, and that's the expectation. That's why we give all this money and hired Ben Johnson 48 hours after Schefter reported that they finished interviews with Shaw. Let's see what's going on over there.
Yeah, it's cool because, like you're saying, they're not bringing him in to be the offensive coordinator, play caller. He's here to put stability in the quarterback room. He's here to put stability in Caleb Williams' growth. That will be an amazing hire. So you keep surrounding your quarterback room and all these guys that are quarterback whisperers or whoever. That's amazing, man. The fact that you can get that guy as an offensive coordinator on your staff to go with you as Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams will be structured and surrounded by guys that know ball, guys that know how to train a QB and groom him to be the best version of himself. I love it if we can get him.
And we're talking about a Dennis Allen, who's a former head coach with the Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles. I'm sorry, it was the Oakland Raiders, I believe at the time. I can't remember, but then the New Orleans Saints. And then we're talking about another member of the staff he has a lot of head coaching experience, albeit not at the NFL level, but at college. We're talking about surrounding a rookie head coach with head coaching experience from top to bottom. That's really, really important, and it's such a smart and impressive move from Ben Johnson and the Bears. I'm scrambling to see if I can find a blurb from the great Greg Gabriel. Greg Gabriel, earlier today, he writes on Twitter, "I may be the biggest Shaw fan in Chicago. I love the way he coaches and deals with people. I was hoping he'd be a finalist for the head coach job, but as we all know, there was only one finalist, and of course he got the job. So if a guy like Greg Gabriel, who has oodles of experience in the NFL and directly with the Chicago Bears, thinks that David Shaw is a good hire, I am all for that."
Yeah.
There's one other thing I wanted to bring up regarding...
it's unreal that's unbelievable that he could come here. That's crazy. Because he could be a GM. He could be a head coach. You can get him on your staff as your OC just to, pick his brain, and Caleb could talk to him. That's good. That's good vibes right there, bro. That's good.
Yeah, again, we're talking about a guy who has direct experience to arguably the last generational quarterback to come out of the draft, that being Andrew Luck, right? So
Yeah.
he would be able to speak the exact same language as Caleb Williams. I have no doubts about that. Greg Gabriel, my last point on something I saw from him on Twitter, he said that Randle L is a local guy and we really wanted him to be a Bear coming out of college. It just didn't work out for us to get him, that being the Chicago Bears. So really, really interesting. I'm over the moon that the Chicago Bears were able to acquire Randle L. That's probably my favorite not head coaching, but just coaching hire in general. Pick of the litter. And then last thing regarding Randle L, Kyle Brandt had pointed out that he's from Thornton Township High School. On his hoops team in high school, he beat Kevin Garnett in the Illinois State playoff. And he was drafted to play baseball by the Chicago Cubs.
Mm-hmm. Didn't know that part. I didn't know that.
Which, again, Ben Johnson, big Cubs fan. So there's a lot of Chicago connections here with this coaching staff. A lot of Saints reunions as well. Again, I believe Mr. Cliffy V, a.k.a. Don Burr, you had came in here late. The article I keep referencing from Brad Biggs on the Chicago Tribune, Mr. Where's our offensive line coach? It's going to be Dan Ruchar. A lot of connections there from the Saints in Illinois as well, Cliff. So we got our plan B deployed at offensive line coach, but that's going to be totally okay. D starting in comments here saying, what do you think about Al Harris? You'll have to go back and watch the stream, buddy. I'm sorry, but case in point, we love Al Harris. For all the damage he's done to Chicago as a Green Bay Packers player, we're hoping that he can come full circle and fix Tyreek Stevenson and elevate these guys. Man, it's going to be so exciting, man. G. Walker, what are you thinking about these new coaches? Anything else you want to touch on?
I just think he's building a good staff, man. Like, it's just amazing that we finally got a competent head coach and a coach that's very self-aware. He's very transparent. He's very objective about everything. He's aware that he's in a division that his old team is in. So that let me know right there that he's a competitor. He wants to fight. He didn't take the easy way out. He stayed in the division. You know what I mean? So that let me know he got a little bit of a psychopath in him. And I can appreciate that from a competitive standpoint. So the fact that we got Ben Johnson here and he surrounded himself with the OGs, the Brian, the David Shaws and the Dennis Allens and, you know, all these veteran ex-players that played in NFL, played in college, they're all decorated. He surrounded himself with people that know football. So it's quite impressive that he knew exactly what he wanted to do before he actually got the job. So the fact that he's moving this fast is not really surprising. It just lets you know how much he's organized, and how very well thought he is and planned out he really is. So it's impressive to watch him because he doesn't move like a rookie coach at all. You could tell in his hires.
The best thing that ever happened to Chicago was Ben Johnson being interviewed by a majority of teams last year and him saying that he wanted to return. It sucked for the Bears because he beat the Bears, but he literally embarrassed them in their stadium. But now we get to rectify that situation, hopefully come full circle, and have Ben Johnson create a very good and powerful offense behind arguably the best talent that the Chicago Bears have ever had at the quarterback position, right? I feel strongly that Caleb Williams could end his career as the best quarterback that the Chicago Bears ever had. Not that it would be saying much, but I think he can reach that great tag that we have previously really never ever seen.
He also passed Cutler next year. Book it.
As far as in the public eye, statistically, he's
going to pass him. One season, done. He's going to do it. He's going to do it.
I said this earlier in your spaces, right? And I said this on Thursday. Caleb Williams accounted for the most total yards of a rookie. Sorry, the most total yards for a Chicago Bears quarterback, period, in a season as a rookie, with 2 head coaches, 3 different offensive play callers, and a starting 5 offensive line that was never the best that Ryan Poles had envisioned. He just never got the best chance. And he's still most successful quarterback as far as total yards.
It's crazy.
I saw some comments in here that I wanted to address. Are they gone? Oh, it was D. Stanton, I think, saying, is it a red flag hiring Al Harris before defensive coordinator? No. And I believe the case is Dennis Allen's probably weighing his options. There might be some lag from him, some bottleneck from him, but the Bears have to become Rooney Rule compliant with their coordinator positions. That's why you're seeing guys like the former, some sort of positional coach from the Vikings, and there was someone else that popped up. I'm sorry, I don't have these names in my brain. But that's why Dennis Allen hasn't been immediately hired. I think that when Ben Johnson did his Zoom interview with the Chicago Bears, he told the Bears that his target, and he essentially guaranteed that Dennis Allen would be coming with. And case in point, that Zoom interview was all it took for the Chicago Bears to deploy their emergency plan by bringing in Eddie George. The second that Ben Johnson became available, and again, less than 48 hours, Ben Johnson is your new head coach of the Chicago Bears.
Do you think they gave him a little bit of money? Like, hey, man, we'll give you a little bit more money if you come in here, Eddie George. We'll give you about 25. Come on in here, man. We got something on top of you. We got something for you, man.
I don't want to sound like an asshole, okay? All I can tell you is that Eddie George has been seen at Chicago Bears training camps in the facility before.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
There are some, let's call it, back channel connections, okay? So Eddie George, who I don't think has ever had a head coaching interview anywhere else, now he gets to put that on his resume. He said, yes, I interviewed for the Chicago Bears head coaching position, a charter franchise. That's going to help him scout and bring in talent for his college team. So once he has more talent in college and but his team performs better, maybe he'll get some NFL sniffs. So
yeah, he'll get some looks.
He helped out the Bears tremendously, but the Bears helped him out too.
Facts. Good point, man. Good point.
I heard also Allen has to settle his family too, that being Dennis Allen. You're probably right, Tony Moy. We're talking about life-changing decisions, and the conversation that I'm hearing regarding Dennis Allen is that he's loyal. He's not going to just come here to be a defensive coordinator, have a good season, God willing, win a Super Bowl. And I don't think Dennis Allen's going to go anywhere, man. He's going to make sure that the move is right for him. He's going to get his family sorted out, and then he's going to be here for the long haul. I hate to do this, everyone. Brian Gilmore saying in the comments, hit the like button, fellas. You guys are just blowing it up in chat, and the live viewers are as ludicrous as I've ever seen, right? Looks like we've got 100 people watching on the Bears Country podcast, another 25 on the Thy&Smi channel. There's 140 people over on G Walker's Twitter. You guys are fantastic. Again, simulcasting currently to the Bears Country Productions, the Thy&Smi accounts on YouTube, as well as the CNG podcast over on Facebook and Twitter. If you guys are not followed or subscribed to any of those channels on any of those platforms, please consider subscribing to any ones that you may not. G Walker, I don't know if we're hitting the end of the road here, but what are some other thoughts that you're having? Anything you want to get out of your chest? Get off your chest.
I'm just excited to see what they're going to do with Col Kmet, man. Like, I just think that he hasn't hit his stride and he hasn't been schemed in the offense long enough to where we can see exactly what he's doing for a whole season. So I'm excited to see what he can do with Caleb Williams. I mean, not Caleb Williams, but with Col Kmet, man. You know, I think he has all the potential in the world just to be a consistent player and get more catches, man. So I'm just really hyped up to see what Col Kmet looks like under Ben Johnson, man. So I'm just all excited for the newness, man. Like the draft pick, I'm excited for the cap space. I'm excited for Caleb Williams. I'm excited for Kevin Warren, keep building up the stadium. We already got the acres in Arlington. We got an option in Chicago for the stadium. Kevin Warren's smart, man. We got an option in Chicago for a stadium. We got an option up there in Arlington Heights. So all these things are coming together, man, as far as the organization, George McCaskey getting his head out his ass, Kevin Warren coming to help. We're getting Ben Johnson. We're getting Caleb, man. Like, all this stuff is just a great time to be a Chicago Bears fan. And like I said, we're not acting like we're cheap, poor billionaires anymore. We're acting like they actually got a couple of billion. So I'm just hyped, man. I'm just hyped for the future, and I can't wait to see what develops, man, with the draft and all this stuff, this content coming out. I cannot wait, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea would be that the Bears probably feel like there's a chance they have, you know, a legitimate chance at a Super Bowl in the future. And the dream always would be to play in the Super Bowl in your brand new stadium. That would just be so incredible, right? What's your stance on as far as where you want it? I know that Kevin Warren always publicly says that the front runner, the leader in the clubhouse, is the museum campus where the Bears currently play, essentially, right? They'd build a new stadium next to it. They would tear down the stadium and leave the actual bit of Soldier Field that looks like pillars, all that good stuff. And then you mentioned the Arlington Heights property. Would you prefer them to be in Arlington Heights or even somewhere else? What's your preference there?
Well, the thing about Arlington Heights is, man, personally, me, man, I want to get away from the city. I live in the city, man. Like going downtown, going down to the lake, going through the loop. It's cool, man. You got the lake right there. You got the McCormick place. All that stuff is right there. But I'm the type of person, sometimes I want to take a nice little drive in September on a nice fall day on their own property. You know what I mean? It's all nice. Everything is built up there, man. So I'm one of those people, man. I really would love to see George Hallis's dream of he was trying to buy the property for Arlington Heights in the 70s, but he didn't do it. So the fact that they actually got the money, they did it, they got the taxes squared away, they got the taxes done, and we got the property. So all that stuff is momentum. So I would love to see the stadium in Arlington Heights, man, when it's time. I would love to see that, man. Something different, a different vibe instead of just going downtown. I want to go drive away. Nice little drive. I love to do that.
I do get the sentiment for the Chicago Bears wanting to incorporate their great city's skyline into their stadium, right? You can barely see it from Soldier Field, especially if you've got the perfect seat, whatever the case is, right? And if you build on the museum campus, you'll obviously have that. You'll be able to position the stadium, even if it's a dome stadium, have a nice window like what the Cowboys have, but they make it more of a viewing experience, whatever the case is, right? But with Arlington Heights, you would have full control of everything. In the sense that you're not just building a stadium. You're building all of, maybe not the hotels around it, but all of these shops that you can build and incorporate to make essentially a Patriot Place, a title town. Have it be your own Chicago Bears, wonderland, and it's operating 365 days a year. That's going to generate so much more income for you. And a good point is your jersey sales. If you've got good players and you're selling their jerseys, if you're selling those jerseys from your fan shop on your property, you're not sharing that money with the NFL. That's your money. But if you're selling them from a Dick's Sporting Goods, a Walmart, wherever they're being sold at, you're sharing that profit with the NFL. So in the long run, it's going to give them a lot more money. It just sucks because there's so much posturing, and you're talking about getting tax money from the city of Chicago, while they're still going to be paying off the renovations that were made to Soldier Field 20 plus years ago. It's just insanity. I think that especially when you incorporate the ability to add the transit, you'll be able to design your highways, everything else going into it, so you have the best possible flow to get in and out of the stadium. And they've got that the railroad, the train that essentially goes right through there, right? I'm not too educated on this, but all I'll say is I think it'd be stupid not to go to Arlington Heights. Yeah. I think that's the move. You'd have full control, and I think that it would give the better product to the Chicago Bears at the end of the day, and that's what we as fans want. Not some sentimental skyline. We want the best experience. So I think that Arlington Heights is the move.
Chicago taxes and the mayor, and you don't own the stadium you play in. You were the only team in the NFL that's paying to play somewhere in the stadium. That makes no sense whatsoever. So let's go to Arlington Heights, baby. I can't wait to go on a nice little drive in September, man. Go up there, man, to get a hotel room on a Saturday night and hang out with my family, man. That'd be dope. That'd be super sweet.
So, Cliff, to your point in the comment section here, I mean, you want to be able to fly into Chicago, stay at the on-site hotel and take the shuttle or walk to the stadium, then have dinner at the on-site restaurant and shop in the on-site Bears gear store. That sounds like Arlington Heights, but are you saying that there's only one possibility for that? Because it sounds like that'd be Arlington Heights, in your opinion, then.
Yeah, that sounds like Arlington Heights, man. Hotel on site, dinner down there somewhere, man. That'd be dope, bro. That'd be dope.
Well, the Scrolls comment says also, how does Arlington Heights logistically host a Super Bowl? You would still be able to have the people that are attending the Super Bowl stay in the city of Chicago and get on their, rented cars or wherever the case. I think the train would be able to take you from Chicago to Arlington Heights, right? It's possible, but you're also going to. Yeah, exactly. But then you're also going to be you're going to be able to build hotels there. Whether it's, I doubt it's the Chicago Bears. Everyone else and their mother who has money is going to want to build a hotel there. So you're essentially going to rebuild the skyline now. So add the skyline to the Arlington Heights, right? So I'm being a little bit facetious there, but I don't know, man. I think it's just a no-brainer, and that's just what I want as a fan. I want a better experience. When we're talking about adding to the museum campus, right? You're going to have to shut down some streets because you're going to have to modify the plumbing. You cannot have the existing plumbing infrastructure for someone who's going to be flushing all those toilets in that brand new stadium with all those added seats. So you're going to have such a terrible traffic flow. It's just going to be a mess in the city of Chicago, man.
Yeah. Let's move on, man. Let's go to Arlington, baby. I love it.
Arlington and Dallas. It's the same thing. site will be the site. I consider it Chicago. You're not wrong. I don't care if
Keep
it's
thinking
lakefront
it's
or in the city.
billionaires, George McCaskey. You're billionaires, man. Don't waste. Come on, let's be billionaires, man. Buy your own stuff. Buy your own land. Build everything up there away from the city, bro.
The McCaskey family's already demonstrated that they're about the money moves, right? Because someone in the comments earlier said, are they still going to be paying Matt Eberflus? You're damn right. So in the past, you'd think that the McCaskey family would not be willing to pony up and buy a head coach that costs even more when you're already paying another head coach, right? But no, we went out and got Ben Johnson. It's rumored that Ben Johnson's making like $13 million, and he's already near top five in highest paid head coaches. So we're starting to finally see some boss moves, whether that's Kevin Warren. I'm more of the idea that that's more of a Ryan Poles pulling the strings on that exact hire. But maybe the winds of change are really coming into for the Bears, and this is some exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
I know someone else in the comments, I think it was Bear With Me, said it's just more off-season hype as usual. Now, maybe we can cap off the stream with this, G. Walker.
Yeah.
As far as changes to the football record, do you expect the Bears to be a 10-win team? Do you expect them to make the playoffs? Do you expect the Bears to have a positive record? What are you saying as far as your expectations for next year?
Oh, man, this is tough, man, because I don't want to jinx it, man. I've been reverse psychology in this whole process for the past 3 years, man. Acting like I don't want Caleb Williams, acting like I don't want Ben Johnson, acting like I don't really care about the stadium, and then everything's happened. I don't want to jinx it, man. I do not want to jinx the future because everything is working out the way I wanted to. But to answer your question, man, I think we're going to be a team that's going to be above 500. I think the mishaps that happened last year or this season with the block field goals, with the Hail Mary, a block field goal in Minnesota, the timeouts, those are 4 wins that we should have had this season. No doubt, man. So you add that, you get rid of those mistakes, and I think we're above 500 team because we should have been above 500 team this year. The only thing that's changing is that we're going to have a coach that's way better as far as play calling, and his staff is way better. So once the coach and staff gets their hands on everybody and everything gets built and everybody's being disciplined and focused, it's a 500 team, bro. And now the record, I don't know, but I know we'll be over 500. I can't believe you got me to say that on here, man. I did not want to say that. Damn it.
500 team it is, man. Nah, we're going to be okay. I agree with you that the poor coaching and the coaching incompetence from Matt Eberflus and company stole several comeback wins from Caleb Williams.
Yes.
The Bears easily could have added at least 4 wins to their schedule. Would not have batted an eye at that.
At all.
Things that work out for a reason. We've got a much better coaching staff, in my opinion, now. And ideally, that will equate to a lot more wins. It's just that we are in a good division. I'm on the record saying that the Lions could flop after losing 2 great coordinators, but they're still going to be a force, right? I think in the division, always starts out in the division, right? What did we just go? We went 1-5. We got a last-minute win against the Packers.
Yeah.
I would like to say that starts out at 3-3 in the division, right?
Yeah.
Where we go from there, I don't really know. It's hard to predict all these things when there's so much to be done as far as roster construction through the free agency and through the draft. It's going to be dependent on how this team starts. And it sucks that we're witnessing something with the Washington Redskins that feels like such an anomaly, right? First-year rookie quarterback, first-year head coach.
Basketball players running the organization.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. But they found a way to have it all come together, and they're getting hot at the right time, right? Is it fair to say that I expect the Chicago Bears to be in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl next year? Not at all. But I do expect improvement, and I think that 500 is a really fair, assumption, an expectation, a guesstimate, whatever you want to call it. I think that 500 is a really good starting point, and I'm glad you said that. G. Walker, I think it's time we call the show. I had a lot of fun talking to you and everyone in the chat. You guys have been fantastic. Any closing thoughts, G. Walker?
Just, man, bear down, baby, man. I can't wait to see all the stuff that's going to come out for this team, man. Like I said, I can't predict anything. I'm just living in the moment, man. I'm not worried about the draft right now. I'm not worried about Caleb. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. I just want to see what Ben Johnson does with his staff. I'm the type of person that take things, step by step, that I can process it. I don't go above and beyond that what hasn't happened because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to get too excited, man. So I'm just keeping myself humble, man. But I'm really excited about the future of the Chicago Bears and what they're going to do in the near future. I have zero concerns about the Bears going forward, whether it's from a structural, organizational standpoint or whether it's from a football head coach, quarterback coach, defensive coordinator position, any of it. I have zero concerns. I think we're finally going to be a stable franchise and a competent ran football team on offense and defense.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. I've shied away from it and I didn't like it, but the fact of the matter is, if you had a great quarterback and an offensive play caller like what we're seeing from the Buccaneers and what we're seeing from the Bills, even though Joe Brady just denied the option of being a head coach. If we had only an offensive coordinator and not an offensive head coach, we'd have to be going through this process year in and year out, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So things feel different. It's going to be so amazing to pair potentially the most talented quarterback the Chicago Bears have ever had with the brightest offensive mind the Chicago Bears maybe have ever had. Really wanted to highlight Daniel Jeffrey's comment here on the screen. Been a Bears fan since '65. We are financially woke. Let's get cracking and take this to the next chapter of consistent, constant winning. Could not agree more. And God bless you, man. Been a fan long since I was born. That's awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, including yourself, Daniel Jeffries, for spending your time, putting your comments on the screen. Really, really appreciate it, man. But I agree. I think that it's finally time to try and be super optimistic. If we wouldn't have gone out and got, I don't know, Mike Vrabel would have gotten me excited. Ben Johnson was always the guy who was he had the highest ceiling. And I think that deserves being very, very excited for that. Again, G. Walker, thank you so much for your time on the stream, man. I really do appreciate it. You guys in chat have been fantastic. If you guys are not following the CNG podcast and G. Walker over on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, these guys are everywhere. Make sure you go and check them out. I will have all the links in the description for you guys to just click, follow, and then moving forward. I know, G. Walker, you do your Twitter spaces, and those are always a fun time. It's a really good listen, so if you guys ever want to tune into that, I highly, highly suggest that. Again, thank you very, very much, everyone. We're going to get out of here. Until next time, everyone, bear down.
Bear down.